Hello YouTube, welcome to the channel. If you get something out of the content that I put up here, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe and give me a like on these videos. It can make a real difference in the algorithms and how they share content with other channels. Also, if you're interested in some one-on-one Skype sessions, you'll find a good email on me in the description of every video I put up. Hey everybody, stick around to the end. We're doing the Wayne's World of Mandolin sticker challenge again. If you want one of these for your case, the only way to get it is to win the contest. I'll be playing a little lick or an intro or something, and I'm looking for the name of the player and the name of the tune in the comments. First one to get it right gets the sticker. All right, today we're going to talk about modes again, and maybe helping you become more aware of the potential modes of a scale and how to calculate that based on your knowledge of the chord scale. I'm going to demonstrate it in the key of C. If we started with this basic C chord, the intervals that make up that C chord are a C, then a third above that you would have an E note, 1, 2, 3, and then a third above that E, 1, 2, 3, we would have a G note. So there it is, the 1, 3, and the 5 of that chord. All right, this inversion of the chord actually has the G note as the lowest interval, and then the third scale degree, and then the root note of C. So there's our chord. And if we move each of those intervals up to the next interval of the C scale, that second chord is a D minor. So we know that's going to be a minor mode of this scale. Then we would move on to an E minor, then an F major. These are the ones you may be most in touch with. C, F is your 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5 chord is a G. We have the same inversion there with the 5th in the bottom, 3rd, and then the root note. Okay, here comes the one that gets a big deal made out of it. The relative minor would be an A minor chord. That's the 6th chord of that scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, the 7th chord is half diminished. It's not like a weird chord or anything. It's a naturally occurring chord of the chord scale. From that A minor, if I go to the next interval, from each one of those notes up one interval, we land on that B half diminished, and then we'd be back to the C chord. You can feel that chord beg to resolve up to the C. So there's our chord scale, and those are the modes, those are the chords that you could play a C scale over. And sometimes rather than calculate that in first position, this could be a really healthy thing to do. If you listen to those chords as you play through this chord scale, and they all fall on your ear the way that they do, just like the notes of the scale. Well, if we go up here, if I play a C note on the 5th fret of the G string, a closed position C. Now I'm going to make that 2 octaves. You guys are going to recognize this shape. If you don't, that's a really good one to get under your fingers. Just a major scale, index finger over the root note on the G string, and then playing that shape. The frets are 5, 7, 9, 10, 5, 7, 9, 10. Then it changes. The shape changes. 5, 7, 8, 10, 5, 7, 8. I'm just stopping there because that's a C note. The next interval would be a D. So it makes the fretboard perfectly symmetrical if we did add that last D note. Now listen to this. If I move up an interval, leaving my fingers in the same position, it's going to create the same modal sound of that scale moving forward. Hear the modes? Those are the exact same chords, if you wanted to think of it that way. These scales that we find within that C major scale, 2 octaves of that, create exactly the same sounds as those chords do. So when you begin to think of it that way, hopefully you could imagine applying that scale to some of these other chords. So this is very much an eat your vegetables kind of day, but we can never get too much of this. I think it would be justified if you were to say if there's only one thing about theory that you understand, the scale and the modal potential, that's justified as an argument, or just outlining chords, playing the arpeggios that would represent all of those chords. All of these things are about connecting us better to the fretboard. So let's do that exercise. It's 8 notes each time. Try to get the most out of it. There, I'm playing all down with my right hand. If you're into Bill Monroe and you're working on those lines, there you can combine those two things together. I'm working on the scale or on these modes, and I'm practicing all down. You could intentionally alternate all the way through the exercise. You could tremolo, and so on, all the way through this exercise to practice that right hand technique so that we're getting as much out of our time as possible when we practice. Those good habits like that and thinking about it that way go a long way. So hopefully this helps. All right, now for the sticker challenge. This is the first time there are 2 different answers that we could get as far as the player, because this was originally played as a harmony part on mandolins back in the late 80s on one of my favorite instrumental records of all time. But here's the mandolin line.